Howdy, folks! You just heard how powerful Heroku and Slack can be when brought together. Slack for real-time communication and collaboration, and Heroku for smooth application deployment, scalability, automation, and everything else a developer or DevOps engineer might need. But just how easy is it to build a Slack app and host it on Heroku? Well, I've put together a demo to show exactly that. This example is a web application written in Python, but Heroku supports plenty of programming languages. Whether you're working on a web app, a mobile app, or something else entirely, Heroku makes it simple to deploy and scale. Now, let's set the scene. Imagine you're running a cattle ranch, and you're in charge of keeping the herd in good shape. That means feeding and watering the cattle, moving them to fresh pastures, and keeping your eye on their health so you know when to call the vet. Of course, ranching has plenty more responsibilities, but for this demo, we're sticking to the basics. That brings us to our application, the Trail Boss dashboard. Let's take a look. Here's the Trail Boss dashboard, a web app deployed on Heroku. It keeps track of feed and water levels, the herd's location, and their overall health. Simple buttons let you water the herd, move them to a new spot, request a vet visit, and feed them when needed. For example, clicking the Water Herd button lowers the water supply, just like it would in real life. Need to move the herd to greener pastures? One click on the Move Herd button, and now we're in a new location. We're in the corral. The same thing goes for feeding the herd. Feed the herd, and the feed percentage goes down. But a ranch isn't run just by one person. Other ranch hands need to stay in the loop too. Not everyone is glued to a dashboard all day. And that's where Slack comes in, and the deployment on Heroku only makes it easier. The Trail Boss application is hooked up to Slack and connected to the Trail Boss channel. There are many ways apps can interact in Slack, like slash commands and bots. But in this case, we're using buttons just like on the web dashboard. From here, ranch hands can feed, water, or move the herd, or call a vet, all with a simple button click. But that's not all. The app posts real-time updates in Slack whenever an action is taken from the web page, so everyone knows what's going on. Behind the scenes, all this is happening powered by the application hosted on Heroku. Let's see it in action. If I click Feed Herd on the web page, you'll see that Slack updates instantly to reflect the change. Thanks, Heroku. And there's something extra handy. When feed drops below 25%, here we're at 20%, a Slack workflow automatically sends a notification to the supply orders channel, reminding the team to restock supplies. And sure enough, there's the notification. Slack workflows hosted on Heroku can do a whole lot more, from kicking off automated tasks based on specific Slack events to integrating with tools like GitHub, Jira, Salesforce, and Google Sheets. And that's just scratching the surface. All right, we've seen how this app integrates with Slack, automates tasks, and keeps teams connected. But what about Heroku? How did Heroku make this happen? Let's take a look at how easy it is to connect a Slack app to the Heroku platform. I'm not going to dive into the actual Python code, as that part really depends on the specific application. But there are some common, simple things developers will need to connect Slack to their application and host it on Heroku. To set up a custom Slack app, you'll need to configure a few key settings for authentication. First, the Slack bot token, which you'll find here under OAuth and permissions. And there it is. This is the authentication key that allows the application to interact with Slack. Next, you need the Slack signing secret. And that's back here under basic information and the signing secret. And if you show that there, you'll get the signing secret. Now the Slack signing secret token is similar to the Slack bot token, but the authentication goes the other way around, from Slack to the application, whereas the Slack bot token authenticates the application to the Slack API. Now, as I may have mentioned, the Trailboss application uses Slack workflows, and specifically, it's a Slack workflow that uses webhooks. And for that, you'll need the webhook URL. So to find that, we're back here in Slack, and we're going to go into our automation and our workflow and our low food supply. And if we edit it, we're shown the starts with a webhook. And if we edit that, we get our webhook and we copy that link. Once we have these three pieces of information, the Slack bot token, the Slack signing secret, and for this application's purpose, the webhook URL, we go over into the Heroku dashboard for the project here. We go into settings. We scroll down a little bit, and we are going to add them to config vars for configuration variables. And I've already added them here, but you just cut and paste those into a key value. And that keeps them stored securely so they're not exposed in version control. This can be done not only here through the Heroku dashboard, but can also very easily be done through the command line. Now beyond that, our Trailboss application also is handling Slack actions and Slack events directly in our code that's hosted on Heroku. To complete this bit of setup, we just need to add the Heroku project URL and append /slack/actions and /slack/events to the appropriate spots in Slack, respectively. So here under interactivity and shortcuts, we've added our URL with Slack actions, and under event subscriptions, we do the same thing. And there you have it, a fully deployed application on Heroku, seamlessly integrated with Slack to keep teams informed and workflows running smoothly. Slack applications built on Heroku allow users to create more efficient and collaborative workflows, which, in turn, drive smarter decision-making and boost team productivity. Deploying the applications on Heroku just makes sense, as it's a simple, straightforward process, low maintenance, and keeps customers' data within Salesforce's trust boundary.